Slavery was widespread in the world for thousands of years. It's the West that abolishes the slave trade. It's the West that abolishes slavery. It's the West that abolishes segregation. It's the West that leads to feminist movements and gay rights movements and religious liberty, fascism and Nazism. With those systems, what they do is they retribalize, they racialize people, they define the nation in terms of a race, and race has to do with sort of either biology or there's fundamental differences between these groups that are sort of baked in differences. And so the real troubling thing about the postmodern left is that it retribalizes and sees people in terms of groups, not in terms of individuals, and then it demands group rights. And then it becomes a power struggle where this group has to have privileges, or so they see white people as having privileges that have to be taken away. And the way that you take them away is by privileging some other group, giving them special rights. When we talk about inalienable rights at the level of the species, the individual, if everybody is a member of the same species, then that adheres in that. When we see that, we're talking about the republic and civil liberties, and I am a civil libertarian. I have a civic notion of the nation state. When we do it that way, we maximize the rights. And so the real tension that we're seeing is between a left that the old left, which is the classical, Marxism left libertarian view, which has just everything in common with liberalism and modern conservatism, except for this idea of the private ownership of the means of production. We have that in contrast to the right authoritarianism, which tribalizes, racist, white supremacists and so forth. Who there are very few of them left in the world anymore, and then left authoritarianism, right? The what you see with the regressive left, the people who are the mobs in the streets. It's very dangerous. The Maoist and neo-Maoist. I'm trying to help people understand that the bifurcation point isn't left or right as much as it is populist versus progressive, as much as it is nationalist versus globalist, democracy versus technocracy, Republican versus corporatist, and so forth. Where I come down on all of these bifurcation points is I'm populist, I'm nationalist, I'm Republican, I'm Democrat, I'm libertarian. Those are all small letters. Not, I'm not a member of the Libertarian Party. They don't represent me. I regard the Libertarian Party as being off in this sense. What I'm talking about is small L Libertarian, small D Democrat, small R Republican. This is how our country was founded. It wasn't founded as a socialist country, obviously, but it was founded with these values in mind, and that's why I'm such a patriot. That's why I believe in America, and why I have so much problem with happening in the street. I believe in constitutional republicanism. I believe in democratic republicanism. I believe in the Bill of Rights and individual freedom and rights. And so the people who have limited imagination, limited understanding of this, and I'm just going to be real frank about this, they listen to what I'm saying and they're like, "Oh, that sounds right wing." That's how dumbed down political conversation is these days, and it's very frustrating to hear people dismissing ideas, pro liberty, pro freedom, pro rights, pro democracy, and you're making those arguments, and they're hearing them as right wing arguments. But the if you take a right winger like Heather McDonald, yeah, we're going to agree because she believes in those things. Where we're going to disagree, she likes capitalism, I don't. All right, so you can be left and right, and the argument you're really having is over the economic situation. So you get this mirror image, right? You get this mirror image of fascism we call anti-fascism. It uses the same tactics fascists use. People dressed in gear, toppling statues and burning buildings and beating people up and so forth. Basically, they call it anti-fascism because we're on the left, therefore see it as a negation of fascism, but it is what it claims to oppose. Anti-racism is the same thing. So you have racism, which is tribalism, right? Treating people based in terms of groups, seeing the race first and not the person. And what do anti-racists do? They do exactly that. They are illiberal. They're anti-republican, anti-democracy. And they don't talk about social class. They don't talk about socialism. Antifa and the anti-racists are the useful idiots of corporate power, the corporatists, the globalists, and so forth. That's where transnationalism and globalism and mass immigration and multiculturalism and all of these ideas come out of the corporate capitalist class, the big capitalist, that grew out of the big industrialists and big bankers, what the populists were trying to battle against going back into the 19th century. These are the people who rule the earth.